Welcome, everyone, to the first graduation of the Hofstra North Shore-LIJ School of Medicine. Based on 30 graduates, I can see that with a full class, we may need Yankee Stadium. To begin, let me start by welcoming the most important people that have helped me during this time. Some of them are represented by the stage party, the many leaders at Hofstra University, including the deans, including the heads of programs, the Joint Board of Overseers, the vice presidents, the leadership of the medical school, the deans, members of the board, the people who have helped me supply the scholarships that have been so generously available to students, and all the people who just pitched in and helped. I think we probably have the highest attendance of faculty of any medical school in the country, and I want to thank all of you. And in keeping with the philosophy of our school, the Grand Marshal was Mr. Vinny Papasadero. And for those of you who don't know, Vinny is the head of our paramedic training program and the person who spearheaded our EMT course for the first-year medical students. Our faculty marshal leading the faculty in was Dr. John Pellerito, the president of our faculty council. The graduate marshals were Dr. David Elkowitz and Dr. Saeed Ahmad, winners of the Teacher of the Year awards. Now please rise for an invocation from Rabbi Meir Middleman.
Merciful God, with pride, excitement, and heartfelt thanks, we gather today to celebrate this historic inaugural graduation of the students of Hofstra North Shore-LIJ School of Medicine's first class. 4 years ago, these pioneers courageously chose to attend a newborn medical school. They soon realized and continue to deeply appreciate our school's passionate commitment to innovation and excellence, its focus on the learners and providing them with the highest quality education, its core principle of compassionate care for patients, and its goal of transforming healthcare for the betterment of humanity. Bless the administration, faculty, staff, and board members of Hofstra University, North Shore-LIJ Health System, and our School of Medicine. With their extraordinary vision and leadership, years of dedicated planning and work, and generosity of spirit and resources, they have created and nurtured an extraordinary medical school on the cutting edge of patient-centered education. Bless the parents and families of these graduates whose support, sacrifice, and love have brought them to this momentous occasion. And grant your special blessing to these special students. Just a few minutes away from receiving their doctor degree, as they celebrate their impressive achievement that reflects years of rigorous learning and hands-on experience. Bless them with wisdom, strength, patience, and perseverance, and guide their hands, mind, and hearts so that they, along with you as their partner, bring healing of body and healing of spirit to everyone who will be in their care. And to paraphrase Maimonides, the famous Jewish physician of the Middle Ages, our prayer for these students is that God, that you preserve the strength of their body and soul, that they ever be ready to cheerfully help rich and poor, good and bad, enemy as well as friend. And the ones suffering, let them see only the human being. May these wonderful students always be a blessing and inspiration to everyone whose life they touch. And may it be your will, merciful God, that they and all of us always bask in your blessings of health, happiness, and peace. Amen.
Please remain standing while we have our national anthem sung by our own third-year student Andrew Leyland.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watched were so gallantly streaming, and the rocket's red glare, the bombs bursting in air, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say, does that star-spangled banner yet wave o'er the land of the free and the home of the brave?
You can see we require a lot of multi-talent to get into this medical school. Everybody can please be seated, and now it is my privilege to introduce one of the two people who really supported me the most, without which we would not be sitting here today, and that is the president of Hofstra University, Stuart Rabinowitz.
Thank you, Dr. Smith. Members of the boards of trustees, of faculties and administration, and distinguished guests of both the university and the health system, but by far most importantly, our graduates and their family and friends. Welcome to the one and only, never to be done again, first commencement ceremony of the Hofstra North Shore LIJ School of Medicine. I want to be in the moment and not forget this moment ever, so I'm looking around. We gather this morning to celebrate the accomplishments and the incredibly hard work of our remarkable graduates. And we know the sacrifices that have been made on their behalf by their family and friends. To say that this day is one we have been anxiously awaiting is a colossal understatement. Today surely marks the realization of the dreams of our students, but today also marks the realization of the dreams of the university and of the health system. Less than a decade ago, many of us on this stage, both at Hofstra University and the North Shore-LIJ Health System, we came together in the belief that we could create a new, successful medical school on Long Island. Indeed, a new medical school, we believe, was a necessity for our institutions, a necessity for our region, and frankly, a necessity for the future of healthcare. It was admittedly a very, very big dream. And not surprisingly, more than one person, even some of our friends and family, told us frankly that we were crazy. New medical schools are extremely difficult to create. And in the second half of the 20th century, they were few and far between. Indeed, a new allopathic medical school had not been opened in the state of New York for more than 40 years. But despite the questioning, we were not deterred. If there was an official list of the top 10 most doggedly determined Long Islanders, clearly Michael Dowling and I would be right up there. We all believed, everybody at both institutions believed, that our institutions could partner and create something even better than the sum of our parts. We believed that we could do something new and something different and something meaningful that might change how medicine was taught in this country. We hoped that great students would heed our call. We could not have opened a medical school, no matter how dedicated and thorough we were, and we would not have succeeded without you, the class of 2015. We needed remarkable students who wanted to follow the road less traveled, who were willing to take a risk on a dramatically new curriculum, and who, with us, could imagine a future for healthcare that is different from that which we have today. We needed the inaugural class to be a class of pioneers, students who would help us break new ground here at this medical school and in the field of medical education in general. This inaugural class was all that we had hoped for and more. You believed in yourselves and your ability. You wanted to be a physician so that you could make the world a better place. And you believed in this school. You believed that this medical school would not just educate you, but would prepare you for a life's work of healing and service and fulfillment. You believed that this medical school was right for you. William Osler, the physician for whom your Osler Society was named, said, "The good physician treats the disease. The great physician treats the patient who has the disease." What our founding dean, Dr. Lawrence Smith, and a peerless group of medical school faculty and medical school scientists dreamed of was a creation of an environment that would foster and nurture great physicians. And we have no doubts in our mind. We have every confidence that the members of the class of 2015 will be great physicians. At this point in my commencement remarks, the president always has to offer some brief advice to the graduates on the journey that lies ahead. Otherwise, you could be expelled from the Society of Presidents if you don't offer some advice. Indeed, while this commencement marks the end of your time at the School of Medicine, it is anything but an ending to medical education for you, as residencies and even fellowships lie ahead. I was a little nervous about the advice, however, because I am not a healthcare professional, as is obvious. So I wondered what advice I could offer you, our graduates, about your future. So I turned to the one physician in the world whom I most admire, and I sought advice on what to advise you. And here is the exact exchange of texts that recently occurred between me and Dr. Deborah Ann Rabinowitz, Chief of Pediatric Interventional Radiology at DuPont Children's Hospital in Delaware. Finally, I get a return on my investment into her medical education. Dad, that's me, Dad texts, "What should I say to our first medical school graduating class about their residencies?" Dr. Rabinowitz, I can't call her Debbie anymore. She insists I call her Dr. Rabinowitz. Dr. Rabinowitz, tell them wherever and whenever they can, they need to take a nap. Dad, that's it? $200,000 in your medical education? Dr. Rabinowitz, okay, tell them that no matter how hard they are working at 3 a.m. and how tired they are, they should try to remember that their patients are at their most vulnerable, and occasionally they are experiencing the worst day of their lives. and that the resident on duty is their best hope for help. It is a huge responsibility and a huge reward in itself. Then tell them to take a nap. Maybe all that money was worth it. I close my remarks today as I have every year at every graduation over the 14 years that I have been president of this great university. And that is simply by wishing every one of our graduates well. I wish each of you all the success you think you need and all that talent and hard work earned for you. I wish you the perspective to forgive yourself and learn from the inevitable mistakes. And I wish that you will make time in your very, very busy professional life for the love of family and friends. The School of Medicine class of 2015 leaves here with our admiration and our affection, and we will never forget you. We enjoyed teaching you. We enjoyed learning from you. We hope that you will maintain your ties to your classmates and, of course, your alma mater. From this day forward, your accomplishments will always be the most important driver of this medical school's reputation. And the university and the health system will always welcome you back home. On behalf of the faculty and the administration, the staff of the School of Medicine and the university, I extend to each of you our heartiest congratulations and our very warmest wishes for your success and happiness. Thank you.
And now the other half of the famous duo of people that have helped, the President and CEO of the North Shore-LIJ Health System, Mr. Michael Dowling.
Thank you very, very much. You know, today is a special and momentous occasion. It will be etched in our memories, in our individual and in our collective memories for many, many years to come. Other memories will fade, but not this one. It's the culmination of many people's hopes and dreams. Obviously, the hopes and dreams of those graduating today, of their families, of their parents, but the hopes and dreams of the faculty and the leadership at North Shore-LIJ and at Hofstra University. As President Rabinowitz said, this was something that most people said could never happen. But as Walt Disney clearly stated, that if you can dream it, you can do it. Something that everybody should never, ever forget. And it was also mentioned, when I look out at this audience, I see faces, beaming with pride. Not just the faces of the individual graduates, but the faces of the mothers and the fathers and the brothers and the sisters and the relatives. But also the faces of the departmental chairs, the faculty, the course directors, the faces of the whole cast that made all of this happen over the last number of years. And it was also mentioned by President Rabinowitz, you, the graduates today, you were pioneers. You stepped into the unknown to do something very different and to make a difference. Most people thought at that time it was impossible to do. You are, in fact, if you think about it, and this is a memory never ever to forget, that because of the program you've just come through, you have begun to refashion medical education. We are rewriting the rule book. You were part of a new class of individuals that did something unique, and the world is noticing. We're getting national and international attention. You're aware of this. Every prestigious university and medical school in the United States over the past number of years have come here to look at what it is that has been done and to try to find out how they can do it in their place. And now you're entering a life of wonderful opportunity. Wonderful opportunities ahead. And you're being bestowed by special power, with a special power and with a special privilege. Society is bestowing you with a special privilege. And the question now is how you use it. And my advice, as has been already indicated to some extent, is you use it to change lives, to change how healthcare is delivered, to not just follow the rule book, but to write new rules, to modify the rules, to change those things that we have that you know, from your experience so far, makes really no sense. Because as you continue your education, and today you're bestowed with the degree, you are from now on more than a doctor. You are a person people look up to. You are a coach. You're a mentor. You're a healer. You'll become people's friend. You'll be taking care of people in their most vulnerable situations. You have the opportunity to change public policy. You have the opportunity to reinstate the power of what physicians should be doing, modifying public policy for the benefit of your patients, not the benefit of government regulators. So you're more than a physician. Society bestows that upon you, an extraordinary obligation that you have to take to heart and be serious about. That's what we dream for. That's what I know your parents and your families and your friends dream for. That's what your patients in the future hope for. That's what your community deserves. So congratulations to you all. Go forward, but always go forward as a pioneer. Thank you so much.
Next is a visitor and a friend. Dr. John Prescott is the Chief Academic Officer of the Association of American Medical Colleges. John is an emergency medicine physician by training, and he was the Dean of West Virginia University School of Medicine. And he comes here today representing the AAMC, I think, to add a sense of the importance of the new medical schools joining the ranks of the old in this country. So, John?
Well, good morning, and thank you very much for that introduction. It is truly an honor to join you on this most auspicious occasion, and there's absolutely no place I'd rather be than right here with the members of the inaugural class of medicine. And I'm delighted to extend my heartfelt congratulations to all of you on behalf of the Association of American Medical Colleges. And I want to offer very warm greetings to this group that's right out here, the family and friends of the graduates. Your love and support were key factors in the success and the achievements of this distinguished class of students. And I'd also like to take a moment to make a special note of appreciation to the faculty and staff, those folks out here in the wings and behind me. You know, you came to this new medical school from multiple and distinct institutions, and you have played an absolutely critical role in making what was once simply a dream into the reality of a fully accredited, cutting-edge medical school for the 21st century. Your colleagues from the Association of American Medical Colleges and across the nation salute you in your tireless efforts to improve the nation's health through education, research, and clinical care. And I'd also like to recognize my esteemed colleague, Dr. Lawrence Smith, for his foresight, persistence, leadership, tenacity, and unwavering commitment to establish a medical school where students would excel in both the science and the art of medicine. Congratulations, Larry, for your dedication and service. I have to tell you, that was the first time I ever said Lawrence in my entire life when I referred to him. We live in a better world because of you and because of all you have done for the profession of medicine. So again, thank you. The Association of American Medical Colleges, also known as the AAMC, was founded in 1876 and is a not-for-profit association representing 141 accredited medical schools, nearly 400 teaching hospitals, and 90 academic societies. We represent the continuum of medical education from the pre-med student to those who are medical students, residents, faculty, and staff, all of whom are dedicated to a life of caring while working in our medical schools and teaching hospitals. Our mission is easy to remember. The AAMC is committed to serve and lead academic medicine to improve the health of all. On a national level, we are actively working to improve medical education, advance patient care that is delivered in our academic medical centers, and support the critical research in biomedicine and health services. To sum all that up, academic medicine and medical education is our business, and it always has been, and it always will be. And I've been in academic medicine for 25 years. And for most of my career, there were 125 schools of medicine. In 2006, studies indicated that there was going to be a severe shortage of physicians by the year 2020. And there was a call for medical schools to increase the number of students that were graduating. While many legacy schools increased their class size, new schools with novel academic models suddenly began to appear, and they challenged the status quo with their innovative organization and their curriculums. And it was then that the Hofstra Shore-LIJ School of Medicine moved from idea to reality. And today I'm here to talk with you for just a few moments about how I see it impacting your community and the nation now and in the years to come. My position as Chief Academic Officer allows me to travel across the country. And during the last few years, I've had the privilege of visiting more than 45 medical schools. Among all of the schools that I've seen, and yes, Larry, this is the largest group of faculty I've ever seen at a graduation, for sure. So congratulations, and come back next year. Among all the schools that I've seen, it's clear to me that your medical school, with its inventive and unique curriculum, has an incredibly strong commitment to medical education and an equally strong commitment to the community. You have every right to be proud of the medical school because it's setting a new standard, a standard that others will try to emulate. It quite simply is doing a great job at preparing its students to become skillful, artful, compassionate, and successful physicians and scientists and leaders for the 21st century. But I'm getting a little ahead of myself in describing what distinguishes your medical school from others. So let me continue with my overview. It has been well documented in academic medicine that a positive learning environment impacts not only the students and faculty, but translates into optimal care for patients. Quality medical care is enhanced when institutions recognize the value of creating and sustaining an educational setting that is focused on bringing out the very best of all. Learners, physicians, and other care providers can instantly recognize such an environment from the very moment they step into it. And those of you who are or who have been patients also immediately know when you're in a setting where the values of integrity, respect, compassion, and commitment are closely intertwined with caring communication, close teamwork, and efficient operations. The paradox of modern medicine is that while we are known for the technological innovations and public health programs that have resulted in better treatments and longer lifespans, the profession continually struggles to integrate the skills of a knowledgeable clinician with those of a compassionate and caring physician. This reality is entrenched in scholarly literature and is portrayed again and again in movies and TV, and you've all seen this. And it's clear that what's frequently gotten lost in medicine's advancements is a close and ongoing attention to the humanistic side of medicine, the art of medicine. So what is the art of medicine? It's the physician using his or her scientific knowledge and technological abilities along with the well-honed intuition and communication skills, all in concert for the care of the patient. It's a physician seeing the patient as an individual and partner in the health and healing process rather than as a treatable disease sitting across the room. It is the physician pausing and reflecting on the amazing privilege of being a healer, cognizant of the incredible weight that comes with this responsibility. Medical schools have increasingly recognized the need to better balance their clinical courses, and many of them have developed new programs as an addition to their established curricula. As important as these efforts are, more often than not, these initiatives are simply one-offs. But that's not happened here. And that's how the Hofstra North Shore-LIJ School of Medicine distinguishes itself. It's not a secret that the faculty and staff of the medical school worked diligently during the school's formation to put into place a curriculum that focused on the critical components of professionalism and to establish a caring culture that would extend well beyond the classroom. That they succeeded in addressing head-on the well-documented loss of humanism that so many medical students encounter during their education is a tribute to their insight and dedication. From its inception, the medical school embraced the art of medicine. I've had a chance to talk to so many people today about the art of medicine here, and it's just been wonderful. It's a core defining feature of the curriculum, and humanism is an essential component of the medical school training. It's clear to anyone who reviews your curriculum, and I had a chance to look at it pretty closely, that your medical school approaches education in a truly unique fashion. Existing at the true north for all of your endeavors is a clearly articulated mission, vision, and value statement. Now, building on these are specific drivers of your educational program that are guided by detailed principles for curricular design. It's complex, but it works. And all of this has been planned to ensure that students achieve critical core competencies and develop as critical thinkers and lifelong learners. Emblematic of this approach is the intensive introductory course for the first-year students. Challenges, privileges, and responsibilities, known as CPR, culminates with every student becoming EMT certified. And I can't tell you how happy it makes me feel as an emergency physician to know that all of you out there are EMT certified. That's great. But what struck me about this course, besides its emphasis on having students learn in the community as well as in the classroom, was the inclusion of the art of medicine through multiple learning objectives. This foundational course addresses humanism and ethics through self-assessment. It helps students shape their own learning, something that physicians need to do throughout their career. So from the very beginning, first-year students meet patients where they are, both in their physical location and in their health status. Lessons are learned that will be critical to them in their future practice as physicians. And in this initial experience provides them the foundation of practicing artful medicine. There is no doubt that it supports the students' transformation of themselves as individuals into members of the profession. While CPR is an educational innovation unique to this medical school, this emphasis on developing a complete physician doesn't end with the first-year offering. It manifests in many other ways, including the reinvigorated Osler Society, and the many programs and events, including the Celebration of Visual Art show that's underway. I had a chance to walk through that today. What a wonderful thing this is for your school that you have contributed and many others in the audience have contributed to. Another example is the Healer's Art course that you brought here from Dr. Rachel Remen's important work on the Doctor as a Healer. The art of medicine is also portrayed in narrateur, a journal that provides an outlet to reflect in writing and other media about the experience of being a trainee and a physician. In the inaugural issue, Dean Smith dedicates the journal to the school's students and teachers with, and I want to quote him, "the hope that we have found a better way to create doctors who understand the narrative and what it means to the healing of their patients and to the stories they leave behind in the practice of medicine." Graduates, today we're celebrating the fact that you are joining 19,000 other medical students who represent the next generation of physicians. And like the generations of physicians before you, you too are passionate about your profession. You place a great value on the need for selfless service, and you have a strong desire to improve the health of your patients and your communities and practice the art of medicine. Always remember that patients don't tell you their stories. Patients are their stories. And you are privileged to be a character in their narrative. Value the special qualities you've cultivated in yourselves during your experiences here. And if you do this, you will embody what the physicians strive to be, and you will be the type of physician your school set out to create. So thank you once again for the opportunity to address you on this extraordinary occasion. To the faculty and the staff, leaders who have made this innovative school possible, I thank you on behalf of academic medicine. And to the class of 2015, the first class of the Hofstra North Shore-LIJ Medical School, welcome to the profession of medicine. I wish you the best in the years to come. Thank you.
John, thank you. I think you know more about our school than we do, so we can have your notes, please. And now, I want to introduce our student speaker. So let me just tell you before I introduce the person themselves that I have a long and sordid history with student speakers. I was actually called before the board at Mount Sinai after a particularly infantile student speech at graduation that resulted in my nearly losing my job and never again, forever and ever, having a student speaker at that medical school. So I am very careful about who is the student speaker. And today I think we have a special person who represents many of the really special things from his class. Matt Katz, who has been named to both honor societies, AOA for his academic achievement and the Gold Humanism Society for who he is and the way he approaches patients. Matt?
Thank you, Dean Smith. My colleagues, it's an honor to be here today with you all. These past 4 years have been a tremendous adventure. We've laughed, we've cried, we've been stressed, we've been frustrated, we've experienced comedy, we've experienced tragedy. As 40 vastly different personalities from 40 different walks of life and points in our lives came together to help build something that we will continue to take pride in for the rest of our lives. To think, in 60 years, wherever we end up, this school will still be here, and 60 more classes will have graduated. Long after we are gone, our picture will still be on the walls as the pioneers, the inaugural class. Whatever you end up doing in your career, even if you never practice medicine, you will always have that as part of you. For all those graduating and those not, and for Branson, who couldn't be here today, you will always be one of the few, one of the original Hofstra 40. Today, when you walk across this stage, you will be starting a new adventure as a professional. And tomorrow, when you wake up, you will be a physician. My father always told me about the day after he became a doctor. He woke up in the morning with a tremendous grin on his face, not quite knowing why he was grinning. And then he remembered. He's a doctor. Each and every one of us now has the privilege of caring for other people, of learning the deepest and most intimate details of others' lives, the privilege of practicing medicine. With this degree comes a tremendous amount of trust, and with that trust comes power, and with that power comes responsibility. May we always take care to remember this, and in your darkest moments next year, when you cannot imagine working another second after the first 10 minutes of a 24-hour call, remember that feeling you have tomorrow morning when you wake up. Remember how overjoyed you were when you got that acceptance to come here. Don't lose sight of the fact that it is a privilege to do what we do every day. As you walk across this threshold today, don't forget those people who helped you get here. It is impossible to accomplish this by yourself, and we should never forget this. Don't forget that teacher that inspired you, the faculty that supported you. Don't forget that spouse or friend or family member who picked up the pieces when you saw something awful. Whichever poor soul had to pee in your presence the 6 weeks of Step 1 intensive study period. Though they may not have always understood what we were going through, they were there for this. And we should remember that, and we should be there for them. Today is a huge accomplishment on so many different levels. With all this power and trust, it's easy to let it get to our heads. Remember, my peers, we are human beings first and physicians second. Treat everyone around you with dignity and respect. In our line of work, we see people at their worst, filled with fear, with anger, with pain, and with frustration. We should always remember that the patient is suffering, and it is our job to try and help and understand them. Remember that being a good physician always starts with being a good person. Lastly, as we set forth on our newest adventure over the next few months, don't forget that our job as trailblazers is not over. As we set foot in these programs, we must set an example of what it means to be trained here at Hofstra, North Shore, Long Island Jewish. We must pave the way for our peers to come. Hofstra 40, it's been an honor. Now, let's have some fun.
Matt, you reassured me about my judgment. Before I start into my address today, I want to thank the entire family that is occupying, my family, that is occupying most of that side of our auditorium. Uncles, aunts, brothers-in-law, sisters-in-laws, my 4 sons and their spouses, my grandchildren, who I'll mention individually. We start with my oldest grandchild, Nora. Hello, Nora. And my youngest, Quinn. Is Quinn asleep? He's gone. Quinn is only 18 months old, and this was so exciting, he fell asleep. But you should know that on March 26, 2008, we held a press conference at the club to announce the signing of the document that started the medical school. And on that day, in a little stroller, my grandson Gavin was 43 days old, and he was there. Hello, Gavin. So it truly is that the planning and execution that led to today has spanned Gavin's entire lifespan. And you should know that he's a little tired because he just returned from Tennessee, where he actually competed in a national chess tournament as a first grader and really did well. So congratulations, Gavin. And last but not least, the singular partner in my life who has been there from before I ever thought of going to medical school till this very day, my wife, Debbie. Thank you. So you guys know that I really mostly like to tell you stories because, you know, it's only through stories that you remember what anyone actually said. And so I want to start with a lighter note, and then we'll get more serious. So I want to tell you about the importance of my personal graduation from medical school. It was the relief of relentless, uncontrollable stress. Now, you may have remembered that I told you I was the last student accepted to my medical school class, and I was accepted somewhere around August 1st. We were living in Michigan, and we were so excited. I got the letter. It said, please send your $100. I was overjoyed. I asked my wife, do we have $100? She said, maybe, maybe not. It's close. But we sent a check off with hope so that it wouldn't bounce to NYU. And about 3 or 4 days later, now you can picture, this is now the middle of August. We're already abandoning my PhD program and ready to move to medical school. I get a second letter from NYU, and it says, please be sure that you complete organic chemistry before matriculating in September. Now, I was a physicist turned biophysicist. I had probably taken more science courses than anybody I knew, but I had never taken basic biology, and I had never taken organic chemistry. And I didn't think that they would really notice that. So I dutifully went to the chemistry department and said, any chance I can take organic chemistry over the summer? They said, what do you mean over the summer? It's like the middle of August. So there were 2 things I could do, right? I could figure out how to take organic chemistry during the first year of medical school, or I could pray that they never figured out that I ignored that letter. And that's what I chose. So when I walked up and checked to make sure that envelope had a real diploma in it, I closed it. I knew the registrar had failed. And as I walked down the aisle, my wife was sitting on the outside of the aisle. She said, congratulations, and I said, no organic chemistry ever. And that has remained true till today. Don't let it get around. I thought I'd start by giving you a secret, you and everyone in the audience. What did we, when we were planning this medical school, actually want to create in our graduates? Well, some of it you know already, right? We wanted people who could take the scientific basis of medicine and put it into action to cure human disease. We wanted you to be able to learn on your own because there's no way that we could teach you everything about medicine. We wanted you to have clinical confidence to move forward when you knew what to do and ask for help when you didn't. That in the mess that is the crisis, when someone is desperately ill, when the data is never good and uncertainty rules the moment, that you can move forward and still render care with confidence, even if you don't have certainty. That you always put the patient at the center of what you do, and that you should be surprised that someone actually thinks it's a good idea that you practice medicine tomorrow, which means you probably did a good job today. So I thought about all of these things, and then I was at a National Board of Medical Examiners meeting only a week and a half ago. They're the people that brought you USMLE 1 and 2, a wonderful group. And they showed me a study where they asked medical educators around the world, what are the most important attributes of graduating physicians? And I was startled, but I'm going to share them with you. The first was that the school fostered the personal transformation from a layperson to a physician during the 4 years. That during that 4 years, each person let go of who they were to become somebody new, Dr. Smith or someone else, whatever you want to be as doctor. And that in fact, that personal transformation is more important than any single fact that anyone learns in medical school. And that it requires you letting go of who you were to become who you can be. And linked to that is something that I've often felt critical, and that is that you love doctoring. Now, I'll tell you a couple of things that happened to me that really brought that out. I had been in residency and I had been in medical school, and I actually had to do 2 years in the U.S. Army Medical Corps. But then finally I came back to my hometown in Long Island and practiced medicine. And on the first day of practice, I finished with the first patient, and there was a sheet, and I had to fill in the dollar amount of what I was going to charge them. And I had never done that ever before in my life. I had never even thought about doing it. And thank goodness, one of my senior partners was standing in the hall, and I walked up to him and I said to him, Jerry, I said, what am I supposed to put in here? How much do I charge people for this? And he put his arm around me and he said, you don't put anything in that. You just hand it to your secretary and they'll do something with it. I don't know what. I said, that's a great idea. I like that. And then he said, every month when I get my paycheck, and now this man was in his early 60s, he said, every time I get a paycheck, I'm stunned that someone pays me to do what I would do for free. Because this is the greatest minutes of my life. Every day, every year, is when I have the privilege of taking care of patients. He said, so don't ever fill that out. He said, it demeans you. Just move on. Somebody will fill it out, and somehow magically you'll make a living. And that's exactly what I did, and I did make a living. And I was amazed. And then I learned something special in practice before I went to academics, that the privilege of being a doctor in a community is something that no one ever talks about in medical school. That I knew thousands of people in that town. That when I went to the Little League game, or I walked down the street, or I sat in the diner, or I just was shopping, my patients appeared, and their friends, and their relatives. And I understood that it wasn't just me and my patients, it was me and the community that I lived in, and that I could make a difference in that entire community by the privilege of being a doctor there. But I also had to remember about loving being a doctor, because you get tired. At the end of a busy day with a lot of needy patients, you feel drained. But one night I was reminded that in fact, this is a great job. And it was Christmas Eve, and I figured with 4 little kids, I should have been not on call Christmas Eve, but that wasn't the way it worked. So I was on call for my entire group Christmas Eve, and lo and behold, about 9 o'clock, I got a call that there was a patient of one of my partners in the emergency room having bad chest pain. Please come in. And of course, that's the end of wrapping presents or whatever we were doing, and in the car I hopped, and we went into the hospital, and there he was having a massive myocardial infarction. And he was deteriorating very quickly, had to move to the coronary care unit. And sometime after midnight, I had just put a Swan-Ganz catheter in him. We got his blood pressure back. He was in cardiogenic shock. There was no acute angioplasty back then, so he was in deep trouble, but he was stable. And I remember peeling off the gown and sitting down to write the admission history and physical, and it was about 2 o'clock Christmas Day. And I looked across the CCU, and one of my really good friends, who was on call for another group, who had just put a pacemaker in a patient, and was likewise sitting down to write a note, was grinning from ear to ear. And I said to him, Mark, what are you smiling at? And he goes, it just doesn't get better than this. And I remember to this day that look on his face and knowing exactly what he meant. That no matter how tired you were, no matter how much you couldn't believe you were sitting in a hospital as Christmas Day rolled in, the privilege of saving someone's life, of being so immersed in the personal tragedy, and to be able to get to the other side of it was such an incredible privilege that it didn't matter that I would have to get up probably in 3 hours to open presents. It didn't matter that I had walked out on a wife who clearly instantly filled in for me, because that was something so special. And you need to let yourself fall in love with that. Now, the second thing that this study showed that all graduates should have is also one of my favorite words that reflect good doctoring, and that is integrity. And for those of you who think integrity is honesty, it's not anything about honesty. Integrity is about building a system of strong moral beliefs and then demanding that you yourself live your life living up to those beliefs. It is an internal guidepost and an internal metric. It is what you do when no one's watching you. And unquestionably, integrity is really important. Chief Justice Stewart said, "Integrity is knowing the difference between what you're allowed to do and what you should do." It is lack of integrity that is often the problem with so much of when medicine goes bad and all the criticism of society about medicine. And so you're going to have to handle the challenges to integrity. You're not going to just justify what you do to a patient. You're going to be sure that it's really indicated to improve the patient's status, not your own worry about malpractice, or certainly not your own income. You're going to have to really deal with the things that stress you, that make you compromise your own integrity. When you get really tired and you cut corners. When you're so tired that you've turned people into bits of work, and you forget that there are people in need of your care because you're so tired that every new call is just another overwhelming bit of work. And it's right then and there that you have to pull yourself back and say, who am I? What do I stand for when nobody's looking? And when you most feel like running from patients because you can't take it anymore, run towards them. Because when you meet that patient in need, that bit of work dissolves away, and that person in need suddenly appears. And you'll all get a second wind, and you'll all be able to get through it. So I want to close with another story, and this is one that has haunted me for a long time. When I was a faculty member at Stony Brook, one of the medical oncologist's good friends was Daniel Berrigan. Now, for those of you who don't know who Daniel Berrigan was or is, he's 94 years old and still alive and causing trouble. Daniel Berrigan is a Jesuit priest who taught at many of the great universities in the United States, wrote over 200 books, 400 publications in his scholarly work, was incredibly disruptive as well as respected. And lo and behold, the Vietnam War came, and Daniel Berrigan really, and his brother Philip, really didn't think this was a good idea, to put it mildly. And amongst his many protests, he did something that nowadays in a computer era we can't do. He liberated an entire town's young men from ever getting drafted by burning down the draft building. Because there were only paper records, and once they were gone, no one had any clue whose draft records were in that building. So nobody from Catonsville, Maryland ever got drafted for the rest of the war because they couldn't figure out who to draft. He did go to jail for that, and then was released from jail and formed the Plowshares organization, which, you know, the metaphor is to melt the metal of military armaments into plowshares and plow the fields to use some good from the weapon we intended to kill people with. So Daniel Berrigan, when the war ended and he was out of jail, and he decided that he could never return to academia because academia had failed the United States in never standing up and saying how awful the policies of our government were to the humanity that was us and the rest of the world. And so he decided to do something interesting, because right there and then he was living at the Jesuit residence at Fordham University, and the AIDS epidemic had hit New York City. So he decided that with his PhD and all of his training, he could probably qualify as a nurse's aide. And he, in fact, got a job as a nurse's aide on an AIDS unit at St. Clair's Hospital, which doesn't exist anymore, bit the dust with a lot of small hospitals. But at that time, St. Clair's was seeing almost exclusively AIDS patients, and they were all dying. I mean, this was before any of the antiretrovirals, and AIDS care and terminal care were almost synonymous. And the people were young, and the people were being blamed for their illness, and the people were all somewhat marginalized by being either gay men or IV drug abusers. And so Daniel Berrigan worked as a nurse's aide. And then this friend of his invited him to come to Stony Brook to give a talk on his observations as a former philosopher, nurse's aide. And we were packed in a room like this. It was actually a bigger room than this. And it was packed because all the baby boomers knew who Daniel Berrigan was, and they wanted to hear him speak. And time passed, and he was late, and we're questioning whether he's even coming. And all of a sudden, a guy walks down the aisle up to the podium who was in dirty jeans, sneakers, and a white undershirt, and a coffee cup that was clearly the old paper cups because it was an inch shorter than when it started. It was like disintegrating. And he plopped the coffee cup on the podium, looked up at the audience, and said, "Let me tell you what I have seen from the patient's feet, looking up at the doctors caring for them." And for 1 hour, he described with incredible eloquence the good, the bad, and the ugly of what he witnessed with doctors caring for AIDS patients, everything from doctors who wouldn't touch them to doctors who abused them for getting the disease themselves and it was appropriate punishment, to doctors who were caring, to doctors who were spectacular. And you could have heard a pin drop as he really chastised the medical profession for failing to get it together. But then he said, "Let me summarize what I've learned, because I've learned a secret. I now know what makes great doctors." And everybody was listening. And he said, "Great doctors are the people who know what a great doctor is and who they should become. And every single day, they realize they're not there yet, but they work relentlessly every day to get closer to that ideal doctor that they know they must be. And that's who I want to care for all the patients I know and for myself." And that, of course, is just another way of defining integrity at a higher level. And so as you go through life and you get stressed and there's lots of opportunities to cut corners and you feel punished and you feel like you deserve more because of all the hard work and you think that people are disrespecting you, remember what Daniel Berrigan said. All of you need to accept that starting today you are physicians, but you're just beginning, and that every day you will try to be a little bit better doctor at the end of the day than you started that day out. And I wish you well, and thank you for the privilege of teaching you. And now, we're going to give some prizes out. So, Dr. John DeCapua. John, you're here somewhere? I hope you're here. In fact, why don't we call up John DeCapua, John D'Angelo, Tom McGinn, Charlie Schlein, and John Pellerito can all come up because you're all giving out prizes. So come on up.
Good morning, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here to grant the first inaugural anesthesia award to a deserving young student of our school. At a foundational level, we ask that our students develop competency in the science of the human body and the art of medicine before graduating. And I'm happy to say that I've had a chance to meet all of the students. They've all done that exceedingly well. Thank you and congratulations. But some students go a little bit beyond, and they create the fabric of an institution, which is really important for a school that's, graduating its inaugural class, because we need to create the identity, the culture, our environment. Dr. Dana Blitz has certainly done that for us. Dana has immersed herself in the Department of Anesthesia. She's done research. She's presented at national and international meetings. She developed the anesthesia interest group, which helped many students get in contact with anesthesia faculty to learn about our specialty and decide if that's a future discipline they'd like to pursue. And she even helped elect the first anesthesia representative of our school to the National Anesthesia Society. Dana has clearly gone above and beyond. For me, this is a particularly joyful occasion because I interviewed Dana in her application to the medical school. And I knew back then that she was a leader and that she would do great things. Well, she's exceeded my expectations and my wishes for her. So from the members of the Department of Anesthesia, from myself, from all the people that you've met, and all those people you haven't met but heard great things about you, Dana, it's an honor and a privilege to grant you the inaugural Anesthesia Award. Thank you.
And Dr. John D'Angelo.
Hello, thank you for having me. I'm here to represent emergency medicine, and I want to tell you a little bit about emergency medicine in general and how that led to our awardee today. What does it take to become a good emergency medicine physician? It takes service, humanitarianism, as we've heard earlier. It takes someone who has the ability to think on their feet, multitask, lead teams, be collaborative. It takes someone who understands flow and complex processes. But more importantly, to be successful in emergency medicine, you need to be a leader. You need to be someone who's selfless, who's innovative, who inspires others around him, who leads teams through complicated challenges, and does so always with the patient at the center, always puts others above himself. So enough about me. Let me tell you about our award recipient who's taken all these characteristics and these traits and has demonstrated that he has each one of them in spades. Justin Henneman is one of your graduating students here. Justin has spent 10 years tutoring special needs high school students in mathematics. Justin tutors other students in his class. He's innovative. He's had several products on the market, flashcards to help folks with USMLE exams, to Step 1 exams, which is coming, to extremely impressive stuff that he's put his mechanical engineering master's to work. He's created a ventricular peritoneal shunt that works by a computer that determines the difference between artifact and real need, and has a patent on that pump pending, and has won him a $20,000 award from a recent entrepreneurship contest here at Hofstra. He started the Medical Ethics Cafe, a very popular first club here at the medical school that has expanded after his 2 years of presidentship of that group to start the Medical Ethics Forum, which is a monthly gathering with outside speakers, and has evolved to a selective for third and fourth year students. He's been a true inspiration to his fellow classmates, to me personally, and to the Department of Emergency Medicine. We're happy he chose our specialty to pursue his career, and I'm sure he'll be a great leader in our field. in the very near future. So Justin, please come on up.
Justin also swears he will get the scoreboard working before he leaves. And now Dr. Tom McGinn for the prize in internal medicine.
Congratulations, class of 2015. We're very proud of all of you. We're especially proud of all of you going into internal medicine. It's a lot of you. Very good thoughts on your part. And actually, we have four of you joining us, which makes us very happy. So our award winner today is Matthew Katz for the Department of Medicine Inaugural Award. They say that the triple threat in academic medicine is a dying breed. For those of you who don't know what the triple threat is, the triple threat is someone who can excel at patient care, education, and excel at research. They say now that in this day and age, with all the information we need to know, all the various patients we need to take care of, and all the complexity of the research that we do, that there is no longer this giant that we knew of when we were training that can manage all three of those things and be successful. I think Matthew is going to challenge the concept that that is a dying breed, and I think he will redefine it. I think as you heard when he came up to give his talk today, he is an outstanding leader. He was nominated and became a member of the AOA Honor Society, which is an outstanding thing to do unto itself. In addition, Matthew was nominated and won a Gold Humanism Award. In my days of interviewing medical students to join our residency program, we are amazed when somebody has one of those two awards. And in some ways we often think, well, they don't go together, right? The great content person who's is not necessarily going to be the great humanist who can take care of their patients and hold hands at the bedside. Matthew does both of those amazingly well and combines them. And I think the third part, which is, I think, the secret sauce to a great academic leader and a physician, is what Matthew also has, and I had the pleasure of working with Matthew in seminars and teaching around evidence-based medicine, is the unending curiosity, and combining that curiosity with humility and drive makes the secret sauce, I think, for the outstanding academic physician. So I want to congratulate Matthew for combining all of those elements, and I look forward to his hearing about his residency at Mount Sinai, and then from there when he does his groundbreaking research. So Matthew, congratulations on your job.
And now Dr. Charlie Schlein, awarding the prize in pediatrics.
Thanks, Larry. I guess I need these. This is the only change from 35 years ago when I sat in your seat. Other than that, it's like yesterday, guys. So I'll keep the awardee secret for most of this, but this award, pediatric award, and goes to an exceptional student. I don't think I have to explain to anyone in this audience what it's like to be a pediatrician, or what the need is, or what the love is for our patients and our families. But this individual demonstrated not only an impressive funded knowledge and patient care skills, but that strong commitment to our patients and their families during her time with us in the Department of Pediatrics. Since beginning a clinical rotation at Cohen Children's, she has proven to be a true asset to the patient care team, consistently going above and beyond her assigned duties in order to care not only for those patients assigned to her, but those of other members of the team. Incredibly, despite her busy schedule, she's made plenty of time to participate in scholarly projects, provide services for communities in need, including traveling to Uganda to teach children how to avoid malaria. While there, she also trained nurses at schools and orphanages to use basic first aid medical supplies. Most of all, as you just heard our dean say, she loves doctoring. So I'd like to present our first pediatric award to Grace Fissler. Grace, it brought on the entire brass section.
And now, Dr. John Pellerito for the Faculty Council Leadership Award. John?
Thank you, Dr. Smith. It is great to be here today. On behalf of the Faculty Council of the Hofstra University School of Medicine, we congratulate you, the inaugural class. It is my pleasure to present the first Faculty Council Recognition Award for Service and Leadership. This individual was instrumental in setting up many of the activities with the Faculty Council. This includes our meet and greet nights, allowing students to meet with members of the Faculty Council to plan future activities, our career nights, where the students were meeting with leaders to find out about each of the different fields of medicine, working with the interest groups and giving us tremendous insight into the student body and allowing us to plan future additional activities with the students. The recipient of this first award is A.J. Blood.
And now the last award I will present, and that is a very special award, and that is the Branson Sparks Humanism Award. So Branson was a member of the 40 that started in our school and will always be part of this class. And with the loss of Branson, I asked one of our Board of Trustees, would he be willing to endow forever a prize in Branson's name? And he asked me, what would it be about? What kind of a prize? And I said, well, Branson was a very special person who touched everyone's hearts in the time he was here. And I think we should make Branson Sparks Award about the person in the class who most represents all the things we believe Branson stood for. And so what we chose to do is that you, the class, voted in lots of attributes and lots of categories for people for the Gold Humanism Society. And those were all questions about humanistic physicians. And the student who received overwhelmingly the most votes, we decided to give this award. And although he's a member of the original 40, he chose not to graduate this year. But nonetheless, a vote is a vote, and we are proud to give this award to Ben Smith. For those of you who don't know, Ben came to medical school by the long route. He's a West Point graduate who was an infantry commander twice in the Middle East. Then decided the long route to go to medical school, a little bit of post-bac work. Then, amazingly, decided to come to this medical school intent on being a family practitioner. But in looking at in looking at everything that he has done and he's experienced, he has chosen actually to go and become a reconstructive plastic surgeon to help heal some of the war wounds that he saw inflicted. And Ben is a special person. Now, I need to get all my script out here, but I want you to know that Branson's parents could not be with us today, but we did prepare a diploma for Branson for the year that he attended with you, and we will be sending this to his parents. And now, President Rabinowitz, we should in tandem do this. This is the official part. So, to start, will the candidate for the degree of Doctor of Philosophy please rise? President Rabinowitz, I have the honor now to present to you the student who has satisfied all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Philosophy in the Hofstra North Shore-LIJ School of Medicine at Hofstra University. And I am pleased to join with the faculty in recommending that you confer the degree Doctor of Philosophy upon this candidate.
By virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of the university and by the regents of the state of New York, and upon the recommendation of the dean of the School of Medicine and the faculty of the School of Medicine, I am delighted to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Philosophy. Congratulations to you.
We ask the graduate to come to the stage to be introduced by Dr. Veronica Catanese, hooded by Dr. Betty Diamond, the program director of the MD, PhD, and PhD program, and to receive her diploma from Dr. Kevin Tracy, her lab director and the dean of research of the medical school. Board members, I ask board members Mark Classroom, Peter Schiff to come up, as well as President Rabinowitz and Michael Dowling.
Dr. Lakita Hudson.
And now once more. Will the candidates for the degree of Doctor of Medicine please rise? President Rabinowitz, I have the honor now to present to you those students who have satisfied all the requirements for the degree Doctor of Medicine in the Hofstra North Shore-LIJ School of Medicine at Hofstra University, and I am pleased to join with the faculty in recommending that you confer the degree Doctor of Medicine upon these candidates.
Graduates, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the trustees of Hofstra and by the regents of the state of New York, I am thrilled upon the recommendation of the dean and the faculty to confer upon you the degree Doctor of Medicine. Congratulations.
We ask that each of the graduates come to the stage to be introduced by Dr. Veronica Catanese, hooded by Dr. David Battinelli, handed their diploma by Dr. Ellen Perlman, and the board members, President Rabinowitz and Michael Dowling. Some of the graduates will be hooded by individuals, personal individuals, and that will be announced by Dr. Catanese.
Dr. Maxine Ames. Dr. Dana Ariel Blitz. Dana will be hooded by her mother, Dr. Karen Blitz. Dr. Alexander J. Blood. Dr. Daniel J. Bulanowski. Who will receive his hood from his father, Dr. Michael Bulanowski. Dr. Shayna Karp. Dr. Alice Shuyu Chow. Dr. Christina Ray Costales. Dr. Wan Shu Di. Dr. Travis Austin During. Dr. Caroline W. Feinberg. Dr. Grace Fissler. Dr. Alan Jeremy Gandler. Dr. Ekjot Singh Grawal. Who will be hooded by his sister, Dr. Berneet Grawal. Dr. Justin P. Henneman. Who will receive his hood from his father, Dr. Philip Henneman. Dr. Matthew Sven Katz. Who will be hooded by his father, Dr. Stanley Katz. Dr. Brian Koch. Dr. Asaf C.J. Levy. Dr. Ross L. Littauer. Dr. Jonathan Ross Mallon. Dr. Fiore Mastroianni. Who will be hooded by Dr. Ronald Menzen. Dr. Robert Thomas Metzler. Dr. Daniel Joseph Ongemak. Dr. David Renshaw. Dr. Samantha Marilyn Ruff. Dr. Shayna Y. Sanguinetti. Dr. Lauren Rose Scanlon. Dr. Christina Scelfo. Dr. Nikki Sheth. Dr. Bin Kwan Yang. Okay, Ben, as you walk back to your seat, we'd like to ask all of our graduates today to please stand. And to turn around and face your family, your friends, and all the people, your faculty, staff, everyone. You can remain standing, but turn around.
And now, Dr. David Battinelli will lead the students reciting an adaptation of the modern Hippocratic Oath, the same oath they took in their white coat ceremony. We invite all physicians to rise and join the students in that oath.
Okay, please read along with me. I swear to fulfill, to the best of my ability and judgment, this covenant. I will respect the hard-won scientific gains of those physicians in whose steps I walk, and gladly share such knowledge as is mine with those who are to follow. I will apply, for the benefit of the sick, all measures that are required, twin traps of treatment and therapeutic nihilism. I will remember there is art to medicine as well as science, and that warmth, sympathy, and understanding may outweigh the surgeon's knife or the chemist's drug. I will not be ashamed to say I do not know, nor will I fail to call in my colleagues when the skills of another are needed for a patient's recovery. I will respect the privacy of my patients, for their problems are not disclosed to me that the world may know. Most especially must I tread with care in matters of life and death, and never abuse the power that has been bestowed upon me. I will remember that I do not treat a fever chart, a cancerous growth, but a sick human being whose illness may affect not only the person, but a family and community. I will prevent disease whenever I can, for prevention is preferable to cure. I will remember that I remain a member of society, with special obligations to all my fellow human beings, those sound of mind and body, as well as the infirm. I will maintain the health of my own mind, body, and spirit, so I am able to discharge my duties appropriately. If I do not violate this oath, may I enjoy life and art, respected while I live and remembered with affection thereafter. May I always act so as to preserve the finest traditions of my calling, and may I long experience the joy of healing those who seek my help. Congratulations.
You can be seated. Thank you. So now as we draw to the end of this graduation, commencement, we'll move on to the celebration following it. And so I invite everyone here, first, please let us all in caps and gowns process out, the students and faculty, and then we invite everyone back to the medical school building for a luncheon celebration for as long as it lasts. But as a parting, I want to leave a final message, not a story. So I was introduced to a poet, William Stafford, in the last few years, and he is a famous American poet, poet laureate, who every morning of his life got up early for reasons I don't know and wrote a little bit of poetry. He got up very early. And as he approached his impending death, knowing he had a terminal illness, his poetry changed. And I want to read to you the message he gives all of us of a poem he wrote 26 days before he died, The Way It Is, by William Stafford. There's a thread you follow. It goes among the things that change, but it doesn't change. People wonder about what you are pursuing. You have to explain about the thread. But it is hard for others to see. While you hold it, you can't get lost. Tragedies happen, people get hurt or die, and you suffer and get old. Nothing you do can stop time's unfolding. You don't ever let go of the thread. We'll all keep our thread and be true to ourselves.